Hello, everybody, and welcome to Dishing with Stephanie's Dish, the podcast where we talk to people equally obsessed in the food spaces as we are. And today I'm with the Food Dolls. I'm with Radwa and Alia Alkafas. And we had an opportunity to record a Taste Buds episode with them that will air at the end of February. I think it's going to be February 22nd, right on the eve of your book being available at stores.
We go live on the 25th.
Okay, so you can pre-order though your book Pretty Delicious right now. And if we talk about cookbooks in particular, the pre-order is like it's crazy because what people don't know is all those pre-orders that you say you want this book, they count towards day one sales.
Mhm.
And for people like Food Dolls who have such a massive following, it could be the day that launches them potentially to the top of the New York Times cookbook list. So pre-orders for cookbook authors are super important. So we want you to get your books when they come out live, but we also want you to pre-order because all of that stacked up on that first day counts to get them. We were trying to get them on the New York Times bestseller list with their book. Would you like that, girls?
That would be just a dream.
I know it would. When we spent time together in your home and watching you guys make your magic, when I left, one of the things that I asked, I'm like, so, what are your intentions? And you were like, we want to get our book on the New York Times bestseller list. And I really think you can do it because you guys have such a huge following. The book is so great. It's pretty delicious. Can we just back up? Like you guys said, you've been doing this pretty much since pre-pandemic, but I feel like, you've amassed such a huge following. Like, how did it get started?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having us.
Yes.
Excited to be on, and it was so fun cooking with you last week. Um, we definitely started around 9 years ago now, which is so crazy to think that it's been that long. I think when we first started, we didn't really have like the best direction of what exactly we
Sure.
were doing.
No one did.
And we were trying to figure out social media. Both of our backgrounds were not chefs. We have no photography background, no videography background. We had nothing, but we just knew that we loved to cook and we wanted to share with the world how easy and delicious you can make recipes. And I think that's been it since day one. Our shift kind of changed a few years later on really kind of honing in on like our culture and our background and what we grew up eating, and people loved it. People loved it and they love our like sister vibe.
Yeah, you two are real life sisters, and are you 4 years apart?
Yes, that's right.
And your background is your parents are from Egypt.
Right.
So you're leaning into that sort of cultural vibe. And what maybe a lot of people don't know, and I know a tiny, tiny bit, but that Egypt is a very modern place, all told. Like, can you just give us a little bit of why it's a touchstone for you to still be speaking about this food that you guys have lived here most of your lives, but you still feel like this is such an influence for you?
So our they immigrated here in the early 80s. And so we were both born and raised here, but they really tried very hard to keep our Egyptian background alive. So whether it was with food, with cultures, traditions. So basically we're very Egyptian and Midwestern at the same time. So you even see a lot of our recipes, we do fusions between Egyptian and Mediterranean, Middle Eastern food with our Minnesota side.
It's
So,
funny that you mentioned that today because prior to talking with you, the way that Taste Buds works usually is we go out and we have an adventure somewhere. And in this episode, that adventure was with you guys in your home. And then we take what we learned from that adventure and we come back into my kitchen. And so one of the things that I made was your what was it? It was the Egyptian orzo with ground beef and it had cinnamon in it. It was super delicious. The recipe worked beautifully and everybody loved it. But what was funny was when we were making it, my cameraman said, "Oh, it's just like a casserole or a hot dish." And so I laughed. I was like, "Yes, this is like the Egyptian hot dish. That's exactly the mashup."
Exactly. Yep. And that's what we always say. It's like an Egyptian hamburger helper, casserole. So it's yeah, it's really good.
Even down to like, I don't know if you guys ever have had rice-a-roni, but
Oh
it
yeah.
was like a combination between rice and pasta, and you sauteed it just like you did with the orzo to get the color on the pasta. So it was just really, it was a delicious recipe. The other thing that we did that will surprise you maybe is I was trying to think about how to take what I learned from you and your book and the way you cook and make that kind of my own too, because I think that's so much of what you inspire people to do. So I took the marinated tomato and creamy whipped feta dip that we made on the show with you, and I took all those same ingredients, literally to the letter, but we made a pasta bake with it.
Oh, that sounds
Yeah.
delicious.
Yeah, so you'll see that on the episode. We made it and we made it into like a pasta bake because when I was looking at the recipe, that you guys made when we were in your kitchen, I was like, oh, this is kind of like that feta where the roasted tomatoes. And so that's the surprise for you that you'll see that we just
Amazing.
took your
We're gonna
dish and
definitely
all the
try
ingredients.
that.
It was very fun to, and it was interesting too, because Michelle, my producer, she was like, because she loved your dip so much. And then she was like, and it's so weird that this is the exact same ingredients, but the flavor profile is so different.
Changes everything.
Yeah, and maybe just the roasting of the tomatoes too, and the heat and the pasta, because that was the one thing we did add. But it was really fun to think about how to take a recipe from your book, but kind of like just twist it with all the same stuff. It was fun.
Yep, awesome. Yeah, and that's what we love to do. We love taking these simple ingredients and just turning them into something amazing. You don't need anything crazy and any crazy ingredients, and you could just make something that's really good and with simple ingredients.
Yeah, I think that's why we really liked your recipes. That also we made a beautiful chicken dish. Do you want to describe the chicken dish that we made?
All that saucy chicken and potatoes.
Yes.
That's the thing. Like, we are busy moms who don't really have a lot of time. So we're always thinking, okay, what can we do that's just easy, delicious, and you could just throw it together? Literally, you throw everything into the baking dish, make your marinade, and throw it together and pop it in the oven. So you could do it the night before. So it's a great make ahead, or you can make it the same day, but really just getting those flavors to infuse overnight is awesome. And who doesn't love having dinner the day before? So all you have to do is throw it in the oven when you're ready to eat it, is exactly what we love to do.
How many days a week do you, okay, let's just back up a second. You guys have, I think we determined it was 8 million followers over all the platforms. How many days a week do you actually spend together creating content versus the marketing and the managing of the content?
I think that's the beauty of having two of us is we do a lot of divide and conquer, which really helps us a lot and it alleviates a lot of pressure off of each other. There's things that we obviously have to do together, like our end shots, or if we're filming like a recipe clip that we're actually in, then we have to be together. I think we just kind of take it week by week because maybe we have like a high sponsored week that we have to do our sponsors, or if we have a lighter week, or we are going on vacation and we need to film as many as we can so we can have a little bit extra content. I think we just kind of take it week by week.
When you look at your content calendar, how far in advance do you go, or do you just do it week by week?
I mean, I would love to say that we're the most organized sisters ever, but we're not. We really just kind of sometimes we wing it. Sometimes even we don't recipe test the recipe. We're like, okay, let's just try this. And sometimes it is 100% fail and it does not work. And other times we're like, we nailed that. Like it is absolutely amazing. And then we get super excited. Sometimes those are our best recipes when it's just spur of the moment.
I was gonna say sometimes we have this like master plan. Oh, we're gonna make XYZ today. It's gonna be great. And all of a sudden we're in the middle of making it and it turns into something 100% different and we just go with it.
Yeah, it's so fun. And the styling of the book, what I noticed when I was at your home is you both have a similar style, but your homes are very curated and full of beautiful art and beautiful flowers. And You have a real statement color palette. And that kind of translates to your work online and the book. Have you always been like that since you were little kids? Oh, you're both matching. You have all the perfect lips, the perfect hair, all the stuff.
You know, it's so funny. Like our favorite color is really black and white. Like it's not just something that we created for our brand. It's legit what we love. We love black and white. And when we were going through our brand and what we wanted it to look like, it was okay, how are we going to incorporate this into our brand?
Yep.
Because this is what we like at home. This is what we do at home. And we also love it in our clothes. So it's not just we like black and white. And this might sound a little crazy that we love black and white and everything, but we do. So it ended up being that we love it at home. We love it in the book. We love it in online. Like it's just, so it's just part of our Food Dolls identity at this point.
Can you remember the first thing you guys ever made, like by yourselves, just like as a kid, or like did you have a first cookbook, or do you remember just like that first thing you really made?
I'm pretty sure the first thing we probably ever made together was probably bake cookies,
Yeah,
like just straight up cookies or a box of brownie mix or something.
totally. That is, and it was always like cookies or brownies because it was kind of a one bowl situation, right? You
Yeah,
didn't want to make a
exactly.
mess with your mom. Is there a recipe that you feel like A gets a lot of traction, but B like really represents you? It's like this is the one that we feel like is our statement.
Wow, that's a really good question. Okay, I will say this. Our most popular recipes are the most shocking that we would have never guessed that these are like the most popular recipes. We did a baked spaghetti that went absolutely crazy. Would we have thought that that was going to be our number one recipe on the website? No. We love it, but people went crazy over
Yeah.
it. So crazy. And it's just really shocking to us. But I think we kind of came to the conclusion is our top recipes are like the simplest, easiest. Like you've got these ingredients in your pantry. So all you have to do is throw it together. And I think that's what always wins.
Yeah. And it's always surprising, like the ones that get the most traction, and you just think like, wow, that's weird. Like one of mine is this chow chow relish that they bake usually in the South, and I always have green tomatoes that I garden with, so I ended up just having to kind of make this thing, and it's like always in the top three. I don't know who's clicking on that recipe that much, but people are. It's weird.
Yeah, it's funny how that works. It's just what you think is gonna like people are like, oh my God, this is so good, is the opposite. And it's like something that, is the most like radosa and simple and basic and you know.
When we talk about your Egyptian heritage, and I asked you guys about this when we met, what is it specifically like? For instance, when we were doing the orzo bake, the producer asked, she was like, "Well, what do you think about this makes it Egyptian?" And I was like saying the flavor profiles and the types of ingredients that we use. But is there something that you feel like is uniquely Egyptian that you bring to the party?
That's a really good question. So I'd say a lot of the dishes in the book are not necessarily like true Egyptian. It's got like some fusion to it with like Mediterranean flavors. And a lot of the real traditional Egyptian recipes might be a little bit more intricate. So we were trying to simplify it by using some of those same flavor profiles, but not necessarily doing it step by step like our mom would do, our aunt or grandma.
One of the ingredients in the casserole that we made was tomato paste, and you cooked down the tomato paste. But that, like, when you think about tomatoes in warm climates, the flavor is so intense and so concentrated, and you do kind of get that from a tomato paste. I hadn't really thought about that before.
Yeah, that's very true. And we do have a lot of dishes that are very tomato based as well.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so when you guys are like absolutely exhausted and the kids are driving you crazy and it's 6 o'clock and you have to put something, is there like a go-to meal for each of you?
I'm like thinking about it because I'm like, okay, there's a lot. I feel like the chicken and potatoes, I think for
Yeah.
sure to just kind of throw together. But I really do love that to sit overnight. But if I'm like in a pinch, I will say the kids maybe sometimes eat something different than I do. because they're so picky. Like I have a 4-year-old, a 9-year-old, and one wants, quesadillas, and the other one's like fighting me on the chicken and potatoes and rice. Like, so I would say that it's always two different things. I'm not even gonna lie about it because they drive me absolutely crazy about getting them to eat everything all at the same time and the same thing. So I would say for me, it would be the chicken potatoes. For them, it would definitely be some sort of pasta. And we love one pot pastas because you can have it ready in 15 minutes. And we have so many one pot pastas in our book.
Yeah, you do have a lot. I tried to make the dish as a one pot with the pasta already in the baking dish and make the sauce right in the pan, but I couldn't get the right ratio of water to pasta. I made it twice and the pasta kept coming out a little crunchy. So I
Okay.
moved on and I just boiled the pasta and did it that way and added it later. But I did try twice to get it like because I kept thinking it would be so great if you could just do this all in the oven in the one pan. And maybe a different pan or a flatter pan. I could have,
That could be, and it could be also the kind of pasta that sometimes makes a difference as well.
yeah, I should have tried an orzo, but I had a penne, so yep. Do you, when your kids are like picky like that, do you feel like, okay, no kids, this is what I made, this is what we're eating, I'm not a short order cook? Or are you more lax and you're like, just whatever we're eating, go ahead, eat it as long as you eat?
I would have to say I kind of started, especially with my kids, learning how they are. And I don't care if I make the same thing every single week if I know they're going to eat it. Why am I going to sit here and fight every single week to try to get them to try new things? Because I see Alia as like the perfect examples because my kids are younger, hers are older, so now they're starting to eat anything. So I know hopefully eventually they'll get there, but we're in this like little phase right now where I'm trying to just get them to eat. I just want
Yeah,
them to eat. I don't care what they eat. I just want them to eat the dinner. So I will make the same things over and over and over again because I know they like it and I know they'll eat it. So
I was gonna say a lot of times, like even like for example, we do have like a Southwest salad in the cookbook. So what I'll do instead of assembling it all together as a salad, I kind of keep it some of the components separate so all the kids can kind of grab what they do like and what they don't like. So that way it's like it feels custom to them versus, making it putting everything together and forcing them to eat it as is.
that's smart. It's like the Chipotle method, right?
Yeah.
Giving them
Yep.
choices.
Yep.
I do think too, like we spend a lot of time worrying about stuff that's probably not super consequential in the grand scheme of life. Kids are going to eat, sooner or later they're going to eat, sooner or later they're going to develop their palate, whether, they were part of the clean plate club or not. It feels like kind of a weird thing to worry about looking back on my childhood and how much time and struggle there was about like what you ate and you couldn't leave the table till you ate it and just kind of dumb. When you think about social media with your kids, I noticed that we don't really see your kids. Is that intentional, or how do you feel like you want your kids to show up as teenagers and young adults in this profile of their moms being so famous?
Yes, that is a great question. So we do not put our kids on social media and we have very, very little images of them anywhere just to protect their privacy as well, and it's like once stuff is out in social media, once it's out in the world, it's out there forever. So yeah, we choose to keep them
want to
out.
make sure that they have that decision later,
Yeah,
like, oh, not come back at us like, why did you put me on there? Have that choice later. And so
agreed.
now we're gonna be mama bears and just protect them.
I think too, we're seeing the social media. I guess Facebook just turned 20 recently, which is hard to believe. But when it first came about, like we were just on it and it was new and it was exciting and we didn't really think about the big picture. And I think now, if I had my daughter's 25, so if I had it, I made her wait till 13. And if I had to do it all over again and I was in this day and age, I definitely would. I might get my kid like a flip phone or something terrible that they can only call me on. But I would have waited because I do think social media adds an element to young kids' lives that maybe they don't need or aren't ready for it until later.
Absolutely. 100% agree with you on that.
How do your parents feel about your business?
I think took them such a long time to fully understand it
It's probably
and
so weird.
grasp what it is exactly we are doing. But we know that they're so proud of us and super excited to see us do this. And, especially mom, she was a really big influence for us growing up and in the cooking world. So we love making them proud.
Do you have anxiety about like keeping up or like always being on the churn? And what do you do for like self-care?
Ooh, that's a great one. Yes, I'd say we do definitely have the anxiety, but we always talk each other down, calm each other down, and just know that, just talk things through together. And I'd say probably self-care. We like to work out just to kind of, really release those endorphins, you know?
And we actually do yell at each other, like, stop working. You need to stop working, stop looking at your screen, put your computer down, stop doing this. We do that all the time to each other.
Yep.
What are your favorite types of workouts?
I would say
Go
lifting and
first.
walking.
What was lifting and walking?
Yep. Same lifting, walking, and, doing some sort of cardio.
Yeah. And you have kids too, so you're probably trying to fit it in when you can. And it's hard to like go to a structured gym and do all that when you've got a lot of family at home. And how do you feel about working from home? And does that work for your schedules, or do you ever visualize like someday having an office where you have all your production stuff and
I love working from home because of the flexibility and having everything at home where you could quickly just but it's definitely a challenge to disconnect sometimes because work is home, home is work. So it's hard to like break the two apart. But it's nice that we have two houses. So if we need a break from one house, we go to the other one.
yeah, that is nice. Like just it because it can just feel so much like, oh, you're just in your house all the time doing all this stuff.
And it really is hard to disconnect. So it's not like we try to have work hours, but it's like it's almost impossible. So like we'll work and then we'll take a break, even run kids' activities, come back, finish working. So it's like it feels like sometimes it's like a nonstop cycle. But yeah, that's when we have to put each other in check, say get off and go take a break.
Yeah. Okay, switching gears, what is your, and each of you can have a separate answer, of course, but what is your like most used kitchen utensil or gadget or thing that like you could not live without?
Air fryer.
That was so fast.
I'd
Absolutely.
say,
I have to
yeah,
second her on that.
yeah, yep, air fryer.
Really? I use my air fryer so rarely. It's in the garage. Like, do you use it every day? What are you doing with it?
Every single day. Like there is not a day that goes by that I don't use that.
Really?
Yep. For reheating things, for making things. We actually do have some instructions in the cookbook, like if you want to make this recipe in an air fryer, how to do that. But it just makes things so much easier. Even if like the kids want to make chicken and fries or something, it crisps it up perfectly and it feels like you're eating it, freshly like deep fried.
All right, I'm gonna have to get my air fryer out of the garage and give it another try. I don't know. It's like, and I have a convection oven too, so I think the convection oven does the same thing, but I don't have kids, so maybe that's different, just the speed and convenience of it being right on the counter like that.
And you mentioned what we do on there. And honestly, like even we do like French toast. Like if you want to make French toast, you can throw your French toast in there. Or if you make a marinated chicken, just throw it in there, shut it, and it's done in no time. And you don't have to worry about a mess.
Yeah, and it goes faster too. You guys will be on a book tour, I'm imagining. Is that all coming together, and how is that feeling?
It's exciting. Super excited to do that. That's going to be end of February, beginning of March. We're stopping at 5 different cities. So we're really excited about that.
And
I
our
just,
last stop is going to be here in Minneapolis. So we'll
oh,
be in the,
that's so great. Do you
yeah.
know where you're going to be or what you're doing yet?
We're going to be at the Barnes and Noble in Edina. So that'll be where I don't think we have a confirmed time yet, but that'll be on March. It's a Sunday, March 2nd, I believe.
All right. Well, when you know, just let me know and I'll make sure and share it. It's been super fun just chatting with you guys. I knew just from kind of following you that I like, oh, I'm gonna like these girls, but really, honestly, it was like one of my best days. And I just so proud of you and I feel like you know how you meet people and you want them to be successful or you're so proud of their success? That's how I feel about you guys. You really work hard and you've really earned everything that's coming your way. And I think the book's going to be amazing. And it's been fun to just be a little tiny, tiny part of the journey for a second. It's been a blast.
Thank you so much. And honestly, your energy that you brought to that table last week was everything. You made us feel so good, and we felt like $1,000,000 after you left. So thank
Yeah,
you for
I
I,
having
am
us.
also honored to have gotten to work with you, and now we get to be friends and keep in.
yes, I'm actually, I'm planning, I booked do you know, a Kamayan feast at Vinay? And I've had one for a while. And so I was like, oh, I wonder, maybe I'll do a gathering of like food ladies just to do something fun and different.
Yeah.
All right,
Yep.
you guys, your book's going to be great. Keep me in the loop. I'll keep you in the loop if anything fun's happening. And just thanks for being taste buds.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right, we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.